Okay, let's get started. This session is How to Win High-Value Projects Using LinkedIn, presented by Brian McCartney, founding partner and chief creative strategist at Arcmark Architect Branding and Marketing in Florida. Brian and the Arcmark team are committed to the goal of providing value to 100,000 architects in the next 10 years by helping firms use branding, digital marketing, and online networking to increase their visibility and build their authority and influence so they can find, attract, and connect with ideal clients, strategic partners, and industry influencers. Arcmark has gained attention for its study of more than 500 architecture firm websites to better understand the challenges and opportunities that architects have to stand out and differentiate themselves. Brian is a featured author, podcast guest, and speaker for AIA, ASLA, Encourage, Build, Grow, Entre Architect, Inside the Firm, Monograph, and SMPS. It's now my pleasure to turn it over to Brian.
All right. Thank you, Kelly, and thank you to everyone viewing this. As many of you know, our original airing of this presentation was fraught with technical issues. My computer was not cooperating at all. So this is a re-recording, which is being made available to anyone who registered for the session. I want you to know that the Architect Success Forum was a huge success. We had more than 400 registered guests. And I want to thank all of you for your support and interest in our event. So let's get to this session. I want to take you back to February 2nd, 2012. That was a day I will never forget. That morning, my wife and I made our way to the airport. We were leaving Switzerland, our adopted home for the preceding 12 years. As we were boarding the plane, a storm started moving in, and we both started to wonder if the plane would actually get off the ground. We started to see the snow piling up on the window on the side of the plane, as you can see in this first image. We got very anxious. We were leaving behind a big part of our lives and moving back to the U.S., but we were not moving back to Chicago, where we had met and started our lives together. We had decided to move to Southwest Florida to be closer to my late father-in-law, who had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's. In Florida, we did not know anyone. We had no professional connections of any kind. But hey, we figured that if we could move to a foreign country, make friends, and even, despite the Swiss bureaucracy, start a business, a successful business, then Florida would be a cakewalk. Well, we started over from absolute scratch, starting a new agency in Southwest Florida in Fort Myers. And then we did what everyone else does. We started attending networking events, and I mean lots of networking events. We joined the Chamber of Commerce. I even served on the board of directors there. We went to all their ribbon cuttings, their galas, their fundraisers. We sponsored luncheons, dinners, and happy hour events. We volunteered. We organized. We supported them. We also did Rotary, and we also chaired a major fundraiser event for the March of Dimes, as well as a local business symposium. We co-hosted an elaborate beach party here in Southwest Florida, along with some other businesses, and use that as a client appreciation and promotional event. We built relationships, and granted, we made many, many new friends, and we're very thankful for that. The thing is, we were networking so much. People would come up to us and they would tell us, "Oh, you guys are amazing networkers." And they would invite us to share our networking insights at trade shows and business symposiums and other events. And we did this all for 5 hard years. I mean, we really busted our butts. We got out there. Everybody knew who we were. And yes, we did get business out of it. But that business wasn't nearly enough to justify all of the time, effort, and money that we were investing in networking. And it got really frustrating. We were not growing. And in all this time spent on trying to build relationships was time that we were spending outside of our office and outside of the work that we had to do. So work was piling up. We were off to another event. It would get pushed to the side, get pushed to the weekend. We were working more hours. You know the story. One day, about 3 years ago, I shared my frustrations with a friend of mine who had built a really successful business of his own, and I shared how we were putting all this time and effort into networking, but we weren't getting results. And he really casually just said to me, "Then why are you doing it?" And I really had to kind of think for a minute. I recall saying something about relationships and reputation and referrals, and then he said, "Well, aren't there other ways to build your relationships and your reputation?" So for me, that was a major turning point. Within a year, we canceled our chamber membership. We scaled back on all of our in-person networking, almost to zero. And not only did that give us more time in the office, we got our evenings and personal time back too. I'm sure many of you can identify with the lack of personal time. And taking my friend's comment to heart, I looked for other ways. I looked for other ways I could build my relationships and build my reputation. And that led me to using LinkedIn to grow my network. Within 3 months of using LinkedIn, I connected with 595 architecture firm owners, partners, principals, C-levels, all the decision making type of people inside of an architecture firm. I also connected with influential people and platforms who have helped me build brand awareness and name recognition in the AEC industry. People like Mark LePage at Entre Architect and the Architects and Allies Facebook group. People like Eric Bobrow at the Architect Marketing Institute. And all of the speakers that we had at the Architect Success Forum were people that I primarily met through LinkedIn or through people I knew on LinkedIn. I also connected with platforms like Archipreneur and different chapters of the AIA and the SMPS. And these relationships led me to get amazing results. I've appeared on several leading industry podcasts and YouTube programs. In fact, my first appearance on the Entre Architect podcast was downloaded over 8,000 times within 6 months. It became the second most downloaded episode of 2019. I continue to gain exposure, recognition, referrals through these relationships. But I'm not telling you this to brag. I'm sharing this because it illustrates exactly why you need to pay attention to what I'm going to tell you today. Because all of it, was a result of my efforts on LinkedIn. And it's the same process I'm going to share with you today. In fact, my team and I now apply these same strategies to help our clients build their reputations and relationships. And it's how we're able to help them win high-value projects using LinkedIn. So in this session, like I said, I'm going to walk you through our same process because this is what works. We've seen this work for architects. In fact, later in my presentation, I'll share how our client won a $6 million nonprofit project with an ideal, perfect fit client at the height of the pandemic using our LinkedIn approach. But before we get to our process, I want to share 3 additional reasons why LinkedIn is such a great platform for AEC professionals. The number one reason is because it's used by the people you already want to connect with. In fact, 660 million business professionals have LinkedIn profiles. In the U.S., 167 million people use LinkedIn. That's more than half of the entire U.S. population, and it includes retirees as well as working business people. And the top 20 industries, including many sectors that commercial architects want to work with, have high concentrations of people on LinkedIn. But that doesn't exclude residential architects because they can benefit as well. For example, 42 millionaires, that's actually 40%, around 40% of the millionaires in the world use LinkedIn. And many others are the high-earning professionals who may consider the idea of designing a dream home one day. So I'm certain that all of you, whether you're in commercial, residential, government, institutional, educational, whatever it may be. You can find your audience on LinkedIn. I'm convinced of that. Another great reason to use LinkedIn is that it's the platform that's purpose-built for business networking. Unlike other social platforms that most of us use to stay connected with our friends and family, LinkedIn stands out as a platform specifically created to help you build your business connections. This means that people on LinkedIn are expecting to get your business inquiries. You are not interrupting their personal time. They're on LinkedIn because they already have a mindset for business networking. The third reason that makes LinkedIn such a great platform for AEC professionals is that it's easy to find and target your ideal clients. Targeting is the key to using your time and resources efficiently, to reducing those extra hours searching for those connections. As an architect on LinkedIn, you don't need to build a following of tens and thousands of followers to get results like you may need to do on platforms like Instagram or TikTok. For many small firms, connecting with a handful of new project opportunities each year can make a huge impact to your bottom line. And as I mentioned, we know the audience is there. So it's just a matter of finding those opportunities. So these are three important reasons to use LinkedIn. Number one, you already have your audience there. Number two, they are in the mindset for business networking. And number three, you can efficiently target the right people. So there are three steps that we follow when helping firms with building business relationships through LinkedIn. First of all, just like in face-to-face networking, you need to make a great first impression. That is so important. I can't overstate it. If you don't look the part, you're going to be ignored. Second, you need to communicate your expertise. You do not do this by claiming to be an expert. You do it by sharing your expertise. And there is a big difference between those two approaches. And third, you need to boost, find, and connect with the right people. And we're going to talk about that really specifically here in a few moments. But let's start with making a great first impression. How do you do that on LinkedIn? Well, it all starts with your profile. Your LinkedIn profile can display up to 26 different categories of information, and here they all are. So, we highly recommend that you take the time to complete your profile as thoroughly as possible. You want to make it interesting. You want to make it in-depth. But for today's purposes, I'm only going to highlight 3 parts of your profile that you should absolutely pay extra attention to in order to make a great first impression. And these are, first, your profile photo. Second, your profile headline, which appears just below your name. And third, the About section, which appears just below the main header or intro section on your profile. Now let's take a look at these in a little bit more detail. Your profile photo is really important when it comes to making a great first impression. People do business with people, so you want to make sure that people can recognize you from your profile photo. This may also be the first image that someone sees of you if they don't know you already. It's not a place for photos of your pet or your vacation pics or cartoon doodles or team photos. You also need to keep in mind that on your profile page, your photo appears as large as it's going to get on LinkedIn. It's a full 165 by 165 pixels. Now that, for reference, that's about the size of a bottle cap on a Coke bottle or a beer bottle. However, more often than not, when people see your profile photo, it's actually going to be on their LinkedIn feed, and there it gets much smaller. So here you can see I've highlighted Jeff Eccles' photo. It's 55 by 55 pixels in size. That's quite small. If you compare Jeff's image to, let's say, John just below him, who's highlighted now, you can see that John's face is a lot more easy to spot. Jeff is a little bit too much shoulders and not enough face. And John does a better job of being recognizable in his image. Getting your photo right is important because we also know that LinkedIn profiles that with a photo get 14 times more visits, and they are 36 times more likely to get messaged by others on LinkedIn. If people go to your profile, they don't see a photo, or if they see something like a company logo or, there's, a cartoon or something like that, they're more likely not to reply to your messages. Your profile headline, again, appears under your name on your profile. And this is a great way to get people interested in reading more about you. Now, this is a bit of a challenge because your headline is limited to about 120 characters. And when it appears in someone's news feed on LinkedIn, it's actually truncated to about 80 characters. Now, there is a little secret here. If you edit your headline on your mobile phone, in the LinkedIn app, you actually get about twice the number of characters you do on desktop. So that's a little cheat there for you. But you still need to make these characters count because either way, your headline will get truncated in the news feed. Now, in my example here, you'll notice that I mentioned my target audience in my headline. I'm looking for architects, and I try to give them an idea of how I can help them. I help them go from lookalike commodities to sought after authorities so they can connect with better clients and projects. I make it clear what I can help them with. And then I also include some hashtags. And now hashtags are great because if you choose the right hashtags, your profile is more likely to appear when people search those hashtags on LinkedIn. So it's another way to get more visibility. Now, your About section is a little bit different, and it's a very highly valuable piece of real estate on your profile. If your profile photo and your headline has caught the attention of a prospect, they're more likely to click and view your About section to learn more about you. This is a great place to provide more details about what you do and how you can help them. And your About section gives you a lot more room to do so. And when you first see it on a profile, you're going to notice that it's just a small little area here. But you'll notice at the bottom there is a link, and it says See More. Now, this isn't highly visible, so I actually point it out to people. It says, I put in a little note on the third line of text, click See More to expand. And when you do that, you go from about 270 to 300 characters to 2,600 characters. So this gives you a lot of space to go into more detail about how you can help your target audience. Now, you can't style the text. There's no option to make it bold, italic, or underlined. However, you can use emojis like I have to draw attention. So a lot of people ask me, how do I put emojis in my About section? Well, first of all, you could edit this section on your phone. So you can go on your phone or your tablet, and you can add those emojis very easily. If you're working on the desktop, it's really simple. Just go to emojis.com, and you'll be able to find emojis there that you can copy and paste into your profile or into your About section here. One of the most important things that I include in my About section is a call to action, and you can see it's very near the top. In my case, what I'm offering is a free consultation call. So if any of you want to talk to me about your LinkedIn profile or about your marketing or whatever, you can go to this link and you can schedule time to talk with me about your architecture for marketing. Now, if you are just getting started with LinkedIn, or if you haven't updated your profile in a long time, which I'm sure many of you haven't, most of the architects we talked to, they did their profile once several years ago, and they haven't touched it since. If that describes you, or if you just want to refresh your profile, I'd highly recommend that you start with these three sections: your photo, your headline, and your about section. Now, you're probably thinking, what about all the other sections, Brian? You only talked about 3. There's 26 different categories. For those of you who want to go deeper and who really want to make progress on your profile, we actually have a guide for that. You can go to arcmark.co, not .com, .co/LI checklist. And you can get our free 10-point LinkedIn profile optimization checklist. This is absolutely free. You'll get you'll be asked to provide some information, and then you'll be able to get this download in your inbox. And this guide will give you a great head start on making a wonderful first impression with your LinkedIn profile. Now, the next step to winning high-value projects on LinkedIn is to reinforce that great first impression on your profile by posting content that helps communicate your expertise, experience, and know-how in ways that are interesting and relevant to your audience. And LinkedIn, like most social media channels, allows you to do this in several different ways. In fact, there are a number of different types of posts that you can create on LinkedIn. Everything from simple text-only posts to posts that contain graphics or photos, maybe an infographic. You can share videos and animations. You can upload, this is pretty cool, you can upload a PDF document to your LinkedIn profile as a post and make that available to others. So this could be like a project portfolio, or maybe a case study document, a white paper, whatever it may be. You can also create polls. So if you want to know what your audience is thinking about, what's important to them, a poll is a great way to gauge that. You can also create events. So for the Architects Success Forum, we created an event on LinkedIn and invited many of you to that event to learn about to learn about the forum and to sign up for it. You can also publish articles on LinkedIn. Now, a lot of people don't know about this, but LinkedIn has its own kind of I would call it a mini blog platform. So you can create articles on LinkedIn and post those and create like maybe a series of articles on on helping to answer the questions that are important to your clients. So this is great, and the which post you create and share will vary, and we always recommend that you post a variety of different posts. You use them, obviously it should fit to the content that you want to share. But even more important than the type of post you choose is the actual content of your posts. And what we see is that many firms focus on sharing posts about their awards, their new hires, their project wins, and other news items that are more related to them than their clients. And while this content may be of interest to the people who have a relationship with your firm or a connection to the news you are sharing, it's not highly relevant to people who don't know you yet, those prospects that you're trying to attract, or maybe the new hires that you are trying to attract. Yes, it's good for them to see that you've won awards and you've won new projects, but what you want to focus on for your audience on LinkedIn and on any social media platform is more the question of what's in it for them. Now, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't share news items, but what we find is that in order to attract or win new clients, there are really 3 types of content that are useful in communicating your expertise and attracting your ideal clients. The first item is what we call the FAQ answers. This is information related to questions that clients commonly ask you during the decision-making phase of selecting you. There are also what we call insider insights. This includes information you can share with your audiences to help them better understand your industry and to kind of see you as an advocate for their interests in the design process. A third category is what we call pain points. This includes information that deals with the things that could go wrong for a client or some of the fears and frustrations that might prevent them from moving forward on a project. What we find is that thinking about the content you share within these three categories allows you to share your expertise, your experience, and know-how, and this in turn helps you to build and grow your authority and influence. So let's look at these a little bit more closely. So let's look at FAQs for starters. So this is information that clients need to know when they're considering starting a project. So some examples might include, well, how do you work with your clients? Well, what's your process? Another might be, do you have a design philosophy or style? Very common question. Another is, what do I need to know to bring or to bring with me in order to get started on a project, right? Now, there's going to be other questions too, and that's going to vary based on your clients and whether they have a lot of experience working with architects or not. FAQ answers are great topics to share on social media because they tend to attract potential clients at the early stages of a project. They also tend to be the questions that people search in Google to find answers for. You can use this content to catch their interest and draw them in and get found online. You can also use FAQ answers to kind of filter out some of those people who might not be the best fit for your firm. And while sharing FAQ info in social media won't necessarily help you get found in search results as a result of, solely, if you also are posting blog articles or, sharing podcasts or videos with the same type of info, this will help you get found in Google. Now, insider insights are a little different. They help potential clients see you as an advocate who is on their side. These topics revolve around things like, what's unfair to clients in your industry? This can include the design and the building industries in general. What are the hidden issues or roadblocks clients need to know about when working on architectural projects? Very good question to have an answer for. How does your service or solution help them fight against something that just shouldn't be? So if there's something unfair in the industry, it probably shouldn't exist. And so how do we help them to defeat that, right? So insider insights are a way to show potential clients that you are on their side. You're providing them insider insights to help them navigate the industry. Insider insights allow you to give clients a peek behind the curtain of your industry and help them better understand what they don't know that they don't know. And it's great for building credibility, rapport, and trust with them. And really, all you're doing is sharing your expertise and your experience. So this is a great way to kind of position yourself as a helpful expert. Now, pain points focus on fears that prevent clients from starting projects. It also, you can talk about the issues that come up during a project or the frustrations that you solve through your process. And these help justify the need for you, right? They help you position yourself above others and help you really differentiate yourself. Now, these tend to get more specific than insider insights, and some examples include, well, why do you, the client, need an architect for your project? How can the right design save you money? And how can you avoid costly delays and overruns? And again, these questions are going to vary depending on your clients and your situation. These are just some general examples. Case studies and carefully crafted testimonials are really great ways that you can address pain points. So if you use the problem, solution, result formula, you can explain, you can talk about what you were asked to do on a project, what were the challenges you faced, how you solved them, and then what results that you got for the client. So these can help them, if you highlight the pain points during a specific project and show how you solve those and that you got a great result for your client, that's going to be a clear indication that this is maybe something that you're accustomed to dealing with and that you can help future clients with. Now, I want to be clear. The result that you talk about is not the building that you designed. It's the added number of tables due to the restaurant renovation and kitchen expansion that you helped with. Or it's the joy the client experiences when the sunlight dances through the new home you designed for them. It's not the building itself. Now, I hope these frameworks help you understand how you can communicate your expertise naturally without proclaiming to be an expert, right? It's really about using your expertise, experience, and know-how to anticipate and answer the questions that clients already have. It's to let them see you as somebody who understands the issues, problems, and pitfalls that can happen and who can guide them through a project successfully. And doing these things will help potential clients, partners, and others to see you as an expert. So I think you're starting, hopefully at this point, to see how important making that great first impression with your profile is. You can share great content like this, but inevitably, the people seeing that content are going to want to learn more about you. And if they go to your profile and the impression they see there doesn't match up with the expertise and knowledge you are sharing, you'll be creating a disconnect in their minds. Little inconsistencies like that cause people to second guess or doubt what the information they're getting. So don't think of it as having a great profile versus sharing great content. You have to do both to create a consistent impression. Otherwise, these types of efforts will result in wasted time and energy for you and your firm. So let's move on. Let's talk about the third step to winning high-value projects. And this is to build your network. Through our experience by helping our clients do the same, we have identified 3 key steps to building a really awesome network on LinkedIn. First, you want to boost your LinkedIn network by connecting with the people you already know in your industry. Second, you want to find and build a list of the new contacts who you want to add to your network. And third, you need to connect with those ideal contacts through direct outreach. Now, I'm going to talk about each of these steps in more detail, but I think it will help to do that within the framework of a case study. Recently, we helped a client connect with a prospective nonprofit client through LinkedIn. These efforts resulted in our client winning a $6 million project with no prior business relationship during the height of the pandemic, which I think is pretty awesome. It really illustrates the power of LinkedIn. Now, I'm not going to disclose all of the details, but I will give you a basic outline of what happened and what we did. So, for context, this client is a small firm working primarily in a local region. Naturally, the first step we took was to help them improve their LinkedIn profile. The second step was to help them create and share content that was relevant to their target audience. Now, we had to know who that target audience was, and through our work with them to help them with their messaging, we learned that they wanted to focus primarily on a specific type of nonprofit client. Okay. So to boost their network, the first thing we recommended was to have them provide us a list of all the relevant people they already know in real life who they were not already connected to on LinkedIn. Now, we consider these the low-hanging fruit, the people most likely to want to connect with you without having to, kind of impress them, right? They already know you. They already have a relationship with you. So usually these people are happy to connect with you on LinkedIn if they're moderately active already on the platform. Now, these types of connections can include people like former colleagues or former employees and employers. It can include your industry contacts like contractors, planners, and realtors. It can also include past clients and prospects. Now, you want to reach out to anyone who you've had encounters with in the past. Those are going to be primarily people that you feel can connect you to high value prospects, partners, or promoters that are going to help you build a healthy, vibrant network of people. And while growing your network in this way is certainly it's well, what I mean to say is that growing your network in this way, starting by boosting your network with these people who are more likely to connect with you, has an additional benefit. And this diagram kind of helps illustrate the concept. So whenever you connect with someone on LinkedIn, you become a first degree connection of theirs, but you also become a second degree connection with all of their first degree connections. So naturally, if people are more inclined to connect with you if you are connected to someone they already know. As we grow our network, we're increasing the number of people who can connect us to someone else of interest. The cool thing is that LinkedIn allows you to search the people in your second degree connections. So let's say we connect with 500 first degree connections. That means if on average, and I will say this, on average, most people have about 500 connections. That means that if you're connected to 500 first degree connections, and they already have 500 connections, then you're looking at a pool of about 250,000 second degree connections. So what we're talking about is the more first degree connections you have, the more second degree connections you have, and it gets exponentially large, that growing network. And LinkedIn, it makes it so easy to search through those second degree connections to find people who fit a certain profile. So for example, let's imagine you searched your second degree connections and found a real estate developer you really want to connect with. Now, because you already have a common first degree connection, you could easily ask that person to introduce you to that developer. And this is one of the things that makes LinkedIn so powerful. It takes the activities we would normally utilize in face-to-face networking and makes them more effective. And also, it saves us a ton of time. You can do this all from your desk. If you are using a routine of using LinkedIn, then spending 15 to 20 minutes per day goes a long way. When I connected to those first 595 connections, architecture firm connections, that was 15 minutes a day. And let's put this in context with the past several months of the pandemic. Most of the events we normally would have attended have been canceled. Face-to-face networking opportunities have been limited at best. LinkedIn presents a very timely way to adapt to these challenges. And that is, in fact, why our client was able to win a $6 million project using LinkedIn. The problem that I see, or the issue that I encounter, is that a lot of architects just haven't realized the potential of LinkedIn. A lot of people talk about Instagram or TikTok or Facebook and all these other, Twitter. Your potential clients are on LinkedIn. I guarantee you that. You do not have to build tens of thousands of followers. 500 first degree connections can get you access to 250,000 people. You can't do that on some of these other platforms. So LinkedIn really is, in my mind, the best bang for your time and your resources. But the problem is that, most architects have focused on passive relationships and building relationships based on handshakes and face-to-face interactions. And there's nothing wrong with that. There is that absolutely should happen. And all I'm saying is that let's use LinkedIn to take that first step. Let's use LinkedIn to make that first connection rather than trying to hunt for these people at some random networking event. The pandemic presented us with the need to adapt and adjust, and the timing is right. So if you want to take advantage of LinkedIn, it's time to get into the LinkedIn game. My recommendation is get in the habit of adding people you know as LinkedIn connections to grow your first and second degree connections and expand your network. Now, the next step we took our client through was to find the audiences they wanted to connect with. And there are three main categories of connections that we looked at. Number one are the prospects. These are the ideal future clients. Number two was the strategic partners, people in the industry with whom they could partner to share referrals and other opportunities. And third were promoters. This can include influential groups and individuals who have audiences that include the ideal future clients. So, for example, think about it. There are associations of commercial real estate people. There are associations that nonprofits belong to, nonprofit directors belong to. There are retail and restaurant associations as well. These are all great ways to get in front of your ideal future clients. So once we defined these categories and who we wanted to connect with, we needed to build a list of the people that we were going to connect with. Now, LinkedIn, I talked about LinkedIn and their search parameters, and they provide a lot of parameters to help you with what I would call basic searching. And this is what it looks like in the normal LinkedIn search. These are the categories that you can search with. Like I said before, you can search your first and second degree connections. You can search specific connections of a specific person. You can search by location, current companies, past companies, industries that they serve, what language they speak, their schools that they went to, their interests, their services, and also by more detailed information like name, title, company, etc. However, LinkedIn also offers more advanced search capabilities through a tool that they sell called Sales Navigator. Sales Navigator allows you to use search tools to find connections with much more precision. So there's a lot of additional parameters that you can use, like years in current position, years at current company, seniority level, job title. All of these things can be utilized, and you can create much more targeted lists in Sales Navigator. And you can save these searches and you can save these lists. So this is a highly useful feature, and it allows you to create these what I would call your contact lists in LinkedIn, and use that to basically prospect. And with our clients, we're using Sales Navigator to build these kind of lists with potential connections. So now that we know who we're trying to connect with, now that we have our list, it's time to start the connect phase. And there are three main steps here. First is to engage. This includes actions that you take to start interacting with potential connections. This includes activities such as liking, commenting, sharing their posts and content. It's very simple. Find somebody you want to connect with, go to their profile, scroll down to their activity section on their profile, and look for recent posts or comments they've made. If you see something interesting that you can add value to, make a comment. If you see a comment they've posted and you like that comment, then click like. If you think they have something worth sharing, then share it. Don't overthink it. All you want to do is to get them to see your name in their notifications. And when you like, comment, and share on their profile, they'll get a notification from you, in LinkedIn saying, hey, Joe liked my post, right? So So the other thing is, some people say, well, what if they haven't shared anything in their activity? Well, then you can go to their profile. You can also endorse them for different skills. These endorsements are not a recommendation. It's just that you think they're somebody that has these skills, and you can acknowledge that in their profile. Why do we do this? Well, we want them to recognize your name. That's as simple as that. We just want to get them used to seeing your name in their notifications on LinkedIn. It's kind of like, if somebody reached out to you and you had never seen their name before, never had any idea who they were. It's a lot different than if it's somebody who you think is already interested in you. Now, you might question why they're interested in you, but the idea is to have your name pop up in their notifications so that they go to your profile and get a great first impression of you, and then say, oh, this person looks interesting. So then when we do the next step, when we actually reach out to them and try to connect with them, they're already warmed up. They've gotten used to seeing your name. And so now it's just a simple thing of saying, hey, I'd love to connect with you. Now, beyond the outreach, you can't just stop there. You actually got to go to the third step, which is to converse with them. This is probably the most important part here. It's not enough to simply connect with them. You need to start a conversation, and this involves follow-up. You can point them to a recent case study post that you created, like we discussed earlier. And the goal here really is just to build goodwill, to point them to some helpful resources that position you as an expert. And that also reinforce the great first impression that your profile is giving them. Now, ultimately, they're either going to reach out to you, or you're going to invite them to learn more about you. But let's dig deeper into the outreach and converse process so you have a better understanding. Now, after they've seen your name once or twice in their notifications, you're going to send them a connection request. Keep in mind the following. You want to keep it simple. Make sure that you send a brief message with your connection request. If someone tries to connect with me and they don't include a note with their connection request, I pretty much ignore it. Now, on desktop, LinkedIn will ask you if you want to include with a note with your request. On mobile, you have to manually add it after making the connection request. But keep this message simple and straightforward. You are also limited to 300 characters, so you do have to keep it short and sweet. The second thing we need to do after we have sent a simple connection request, or within that simple connection request, is to explain why. So we have to give them a reason to connect with us. And finally, we have to make sure that we tell them what we want them to do, which is our call to action, right? Connect with me. So how does this look in practice? So here are 3 examples of connection request messages. So we'll just go through these. First example, I'm trying to learn more about your industry and wanted to connect with you. Please accept my connection request. Now, I encourage you to, obviously, these are just very short examples, and I encourage you to make these your own, make them more noticeable and unique. But basically, you want to give them the impression that there's somebody in their industry that you see as an expert, or somebody that you should be connected with. That's the important part of this type of outreach, is that you think they're important and you should be connected with them. The second example, I enjoyed reading your recent comment on, refer to a recent post of theirs. Please accept my connection request. Again, you're telling them, I liked your comment and I would like to connect with you, right? You're telling them that they're somebody you see as somebody that you should be connected to. And number 3, I was speaking with a mutual connection and they mentioned you as a great resource or whatever it may be. Please accept my connection request. Now this one you only want to use if that's actually the case. You don't want to send them this message if you haven't had that discussion with the mutual connection. But you get the idea here. In all of these, we are positioning them as somebody we want to be connected with. Not that they should be connected with us. we want to be connected with them. And we're also saying very clearly the call to action, please accept my connection request. Now, the rate at which people connect with you will vary depending on the engage actions you've taken and the outreach message that you send. Typically, we find that 25 to 40% of connection requests get accepted, but we have seen rates which are much higher than that. Now, once they accept your connection request, you need to start a conversation, and this can be a little bit harder. But here's a simple formula to follow. First of all, thank them. They just connected with you, so be sure to send them a simple thank you message and tell them you hope to get to know them better. After you wait a day or two, then follow up and offer some help. You can share an article. You can share one of those posts that we talked about. We're building rapport here. Don't make it complicated. Just share something they may find relevant. Number 3, underscore your expertise. In your third message, we're going to underscore your expertise. One of the ways to do this is by saying something like, hey, we've worked with clients like you in your industry before. Really easy way to call out your expertise. And number 4, finally, we're going to give them a call to action. We want them to schedule a real conversation with you. This is the whole point of reaching out to them, to get them on the phone or in a meeting so you can build the relationship even further. Okay, so let me take you through an example of what this would look like. So first of all, we've sent a connection request. They've accepted. So then we send a reply. We say, hey, thank you for accepting the connection request. That's the first thing, the thank you. We then say, hey, by the way, we've worked with companies like yours in the past. If I, the architect, can help you answer any questions, let me know. So we're looking for them to respond and say, oh, well, yeah, actually, I have some questions. Then you might get a response back like this from the prospect. Hey, thank you. I'm glad to connect. They might ask for some examples. And here's where you would say, hey, thanks for that reply. Appreciate it. Here's a recent case study I posted on LinkedIn. And you can also learn more at our website. Now, this might be an example that you might use for typical Converse interaction on LinkedIn. Let's look at our client that we talked about earlier who won this project. What did that look like? So after engaging with the executive director of this nonprofit, we sent a simple connection request. And it said, I'm trying to grow my LinkedIn presence, wanted to make sure I was connected with you. Please accept my connection request. So this is indirectly saying you're somebody of importance and I want to make sure that I'm connected with you. So I hope you catch that subtlety. We then got a reply back from them right away saying, hey, I'm happy to connect. And the nonprofit actually said, hey, let me know if I can be of service. So we turned this around. We said, well, actually, I would offer the same. We have worked with and design facilities for nonprofits like yours before. We're underscoring the expertise. And then the nonprofit wrote back, the executive director, I just looked at your profile and your recent post. I'd like to discuss a project with you. Can you call me? Now, I highlighted that in red because that's exactly what we've been talking about. You have to look the part. You have to impress people with that profile. You have to post stuff that they're going to find interesting. And that's what we were doing for this client. And then, of course, we said, hey, perfect, looking forward to it. They gave them a call. They won that project in 2 weeks. Now, I'll be the first to admit there's an element of being in the right time in the right place. And that's the precise point. If you're not in the right place at the right time, you're going to miss out on these kind of opportunities. It all comes down to this. This reply sums it all up. I just looked at your profile. I just looked at your recent post. Now, I hope you can understand that based on what I've told you today, based on what we've covered, if you're not using LinkedIn, you're very likely missing out on some important opportunities, and I don't want you to miss those opportunities. So I hope this helps you understand the power and potential you can achieve with LinkedIn. I hope you understand how important that first impression is to making your profile help you connect with the people you want to connect with. I hope all of these steps get you the results that you're looking for. If you want to connect with me, again, I'm Brian McCartney. I'm Chief Idea Guy, Chief Creative Strategist, and Managing Partner at ArcMark AEC Branding and Marketing. You can connect with me on social media, pretty much any social media. You can find me by typing in Brilliant Brian. It's Brian with a yo. That's Bryon, Brian with a yo. Connect with me on LinkedIn or Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever you want to connect with me. Okay, and with that, we're going to go to Q&A, and this will be the original Q&A from the original live session.
All right, Ethan, I have some recent research on the profile picture, debating professional or casual. Any thoughts on this? Well, here's what I would say. How do you want people to see you? Like, if you were going to do a Zoom call with them, how would you dress, right? If you're going to hang out at a networking meeting, how would you look? That's how your profile photo should look. So I give you that advice. Just make sure it looks like you. Like, I've seen people, like, they'll have a picture from like 20 years ago. And then you get on a Zoom call with them and you're like, wait a minute, this isn't the same person. So make sure it looks like you, Ethan. And I think if this is Ethan, I think it is. Ethan, I think you have a good photo already. I mean, as I recall, it's in black and white, and it's good. It shows your face. So I think you're pretty good with what you have. If you feel that there's a reason to change, go for it, man. And you know how to get a hold of me, so just go ahead and share that with me, and we'll check it out, and I'll give you some advice. All right. Do you suggest that we prepare an individual and a company profile page for the ultimate coverage and exposure? Okay, Matt. Thanks for your question. And here's what I want to say: your profile page is you should only create a profile page for an individual. Now, in LinkedIn, you can create a company page, which is not a profile page. It doesn't work like a profile, but it allows you to invite your employees or it allows you to share things as a company on LinkedIn. And I do recommend that you have both. If it's a firm, it's more than just you. I would recommend doing that. But here's what I'll say. You're going to get a lot more value out of sharing things on your personal profile than your company profile. But having said that, what we do is we post things on our ArcMark LinkedIn page, and then our employees share those posts on their personal profiles. So that's how we do it. So we share the main post on the ArcMark page, so we're only posting it to one location. And then individually, we can share those posts with our own audiences. So that's how we do it. All right, Tom, is there not a presumption everyone has a thorough understanding of how to navigate the LinkedIn site and nuances? I don't know. I don't know if you're referring, I have kind of covered things. I'm not covering things at the very basic level. And here's what I would say. If you're just getting started on LinkedIn, what I would recommend is that, you go to YouTube and you look for some basic tutorials. Now, this is something that I'm going to be addressing soon because I'm going to be partnering with the Architect Marketing Institute to launch a course here probably before the end of the year. So I'm going to go into all the details, how you get started, how you use LinkedIn, all of that. And I will be addressing this. But if you're desperate in the meantime, you want to get started, there's a lot of information on YouTube. I believe there are tutorials on LinkedIn as well to kind of walk you through how to use the platform. And it's like any other tool. There's a little bit of a learning curve. But overall, I think LinkedIn looks or operates very similarly to a lot of other social media platforms. So I think it's pretty easy to pick up. All right. Derek, interested in how LinkedIn content aligns with what you've got on your studio's website. Well, if you're trying to build brand consistency and messaging consistency, those should support each other. There shouldn't be a disconnect from LinkedIn to your website. You should be sharing similar types of content, and you should be messaging in the same voice and tone. Now, because you're using, if you're using, I'm talking about your company profile page versus your website. If it's coming from you, the individual, then yeah, you may want to add your flavor and your own personal taste to your shares. Give it your own spin. But I think the overall message, the overall brand message, the content alignment should be pretty similar. All right, let's see. Got a lot of thank yous. Thank you, guys. Really rough start there. I apologize again. It's kind of crazy, but I think I ad-libbed it pretty good. All right, great information. Are your clients using paid campaigns on LinkedIn? Judy, you're referring to ads, and we don't really do a lot of paid advertising at this point with our clients. We can accomplish a lot just by following the methodologies that I've described. Chong, thank you, Brian. Lots of useful insights. Thank you, Chong. John, thanks, Brian. I think LinkedIn is often used very differently in the UK. Is it considered more like Facebook and a medium for the Cold War? I don't think so. LinkedIn is pretty much a business platform, and most people talk about business. Yeah, you'll get political posts sometimes. You'll get religious posts sometimes. And you know what I do? I don't follow those people. So if I see somebody's sharing too much stuff I don't want to see, I just turn them off. That's pretty easy. All right. Amy, thank you. Vicente, thank you. Arezu, Crystal, thank you. Tom, thanks. Jing, Brian, will on demand include Q&A too? Yes, it will. You'll get the whole enchilada. Ethan, if you address my comment about profile pictures, I will have to catch up with you later. Okay, Ethan, I had to take a call. No problem. All right. Please give the link for certificate if we are from another country. Jerry, as I explained earlier, the Architect Marketing Institute is responsible for the certificates, so you can reach out to them at support@arcmarketing.org, and they can get you sorted with your certificate. And with that, I think we've gone through all the questions. So if there's no other questions, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you so much for all your patience.
All right, everyone. This concludes the American Institute of Architects Continuing Education Systems course. But before you go, I've tried to impress upon you the importance of having a great profile. And I know that I gave you a free resource that you can use to do it on your own. But for those of you who just know you're not going to have time for this, you want a done-for-you opportunity to make that great first impression. It's just so important, and I can't underscore enough how the right profile can help you use LinkedIn to build your network, find and connect, and win new clients. I've already laid out steps that you can take to do this on your own, but I also know that we get busy. Those good intentions fall down on the priority list of things to do, and that profile of yours won't get the care it needs. That's why we've bundled a special offer for you. When we work with clients, one of the first things we do typically is we make over their LinkedIn profile. This normally costs about $1,000, and it involves doing a profile review call, putting together our detailed recommendations. We get our professional copywriter to write your new profile. We provide you with profile photo guidelines, so you can go to a photographer, or you can do a headshot on your own using your camera phone. You just need to follow some instructions, and we can show you how to get a great profile photo. We'll also create a branded banner image for your profile. And we'll also, for this offer, we're also going to include some additional worksheets and templates to help you keep your profile up to date, and also, as a special bonus, help you plan out your LinkedIn content with our content guide and worksheet. So we've bundled all of this up for you. This is, the profile makeover itself is $1,000 value. Those worksheets and the additional added bonuses, those are on top of that, probably another $250 worth of value. And because many of you, you signed up for this session, we had some technical issues. Originally, this offer was only scheduled to be a 24-hour offer. We are extending this offer to midnight, October 5th, 2020. You get this complete solution. We are going to do your LinkedIn profile for you. And we're going to add in these extra bonuses. We're giving you a special price. When you use the promo code ASF500, you will save $500 off the normal list value of $997. So if this is right for you, if this is something that you feel you need to get done and get a handle on, you want to get more active on LinkedIn, you want to start making a great first impression, you want to start sharing your expertise, you want to start finding, attracting, and connecting with your ideal prospects, partners, and promoters, then all you need to do is go to arcmark.co, not .com, .co/book-li makeover. There's a landing page there that's going to walk you through everything that's included in this offer. It's also going to help you to schedule your first profile review call. We'll get on the call with you. We'll go through we'll have already gone through your profile. We will review everything with you, go over our recommendations, start working with you on some of the to-do items. We'll get all of that going. We're going to jumpstart your LinkedIn presence. We're going to help you get noticed on LinkedIn. And as I said, because we had technical issues with our original broadcast, we are extending this offer. It will expire at midnight, October 5th, 2020. After that, it will return to its full price of $997. So use this coupon ASF500 to take advantage of this offer. So that's all I have for you. I want to thank you very much for your time. I hope this has been of value to you, and I hope that you've gotten a lot out of this session.